Ladies and gentlemen, the show we've all been waiting for, Paranormal Buzz Radio is proud to present REP Paranormal and Friends with your hosts, Kim Purvis and Allison Robinson. Live every Thursday night on Spreaker, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Be sure to check out their Facebook page, REP Paranormal Busters.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey everybody, welcome to another night of REP Paranormal and Friends. Tonight we have a special guest. We have Kelly on, so welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for those, let's go ahead and why don't you introduce yourself for the people that are listening that may not know who you are.
Okay. So my name is Kelly McCarville. I go by Moonspinner as well. And I am a paranormal investigator and a psychic medium. So kind of wear a lot of different hats. I've had abilities since I was a little girl. And my primary ability started out as claircognizance, which means I just know things. And I assumed like everybody knew things the way that I knew things. And come to find out, no, that's not the case. I was a weirdo. And I don't remember stopping doing it, but I must have at some point because it kind of slowed down. But then middle school is when it really started coming back and my abilities. I'm an empath as well. So I started feeling a little bit crazy because I was on emotion overload. So that was kind of where my path started as far as figuring out the psychic medium side of things. I actually didn't turn on the medium side until I was a bit older because it scared me. And then about the same time that my abilities were coming back, we moved into a haunted house. So it was kind of like this catch-22 where, hey, I'm going to have to figure this out. And, ooh, hey, ghosts are real. And, so it's just kind of all spiraled from there. And now I've been paranormal investigating for, 20 years or better. And having a good time. That's me in a nutshell.
That's you in a nutshell. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, I know.
Just
got it all going on. So, what have you been up to? Like, where's the last place you've been? We never know. You're everywhere.
Actually, this is kind of my slow season still. So, the last place I was, I think the last place I was at the Mason House Inn in Bentonsport, Iowa. Mm-hmm. I was hosting an intuitive retreat. So I also teach intuition classes once a month. I teach it here in town.
Oh, nice.
And we do just kind of any topics. We'll do pendulums, tarot, psychometry, mediumship, candle magic, and just kind of everything. But then every once in a while, about 3-4 times a year, I'll do what's called an intuitive retreat where we go out to a location that's known to have spiritual activity. And I bring in a group of people and I teach them how to use their intuition. It's like it's a whole weekend workshop.
I need to go.
And then the nice part about it is, you're in a group setting with other people who are also trying to learn. We have people who've never done it before to people who do it more often. And so it's a nice mix of abilities, and you really just learn about it. But then once you've learned, you're right in a location where it's great to actually try it out. And the Mason house is, I mean, they've just got so much going on down there that it's a nice, safe environment for people to kind of open up and test out what their intuition is, and yet almost always have something happen. So that was the last place I was at. That was early February that I hosted a retreat down there. Other than that, it's still kind of slow right now. I've got the rest of this month off, and then April starts. We kick off April with HauntACon in Omaha, and I am pretty much like it was last year, where I don't know if I have too many awful weekends off between now and November. Yeah.
That's
so
I'm
enjoying these weekends.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly. Half the time, I don't know. And that's the funny thing is like, it got to the point last year where I couldn't keep track where I was supposed to be, and I'd ask Shay, where am I going this weekend? Or I'd actually be on a show, and I'm like, I'm someplace next weekend, and she'd tell me where I'm going to be, because it's just...
Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
It's super fun, though. I mean, I'm having a blast, and just, you know, the opportunities that have been presented to me and the people that I've met along the road through doing this, I couldn't be more grateful for it. It's a good time. It's work, and it's expensive sometimes, but but I'm having a great time.
That's good. That's good.
That's the main thing.
Right?
Yeah. If Shay didn't have your back, you'd be lost.
Yeah, Shay takes good care of me.
Yes, she does.
Yeah. I think they were talking on a show or two ago, and it must have been on Shay's show. It was Shay and Mama Pat, and I can't remember who else was in the mix of that, talking about how they're all my keepers and that it requires all three of them to take care of me. So. It does. It does. I'm high maintenance sometimes. Maybe it was just Shay and Mama Pat. That's what Shay said. So.
I know most of us have heard the story about the shadow in Melbourne, right?
Yeah.
Coming down the hallway at you.
Oh,
we were there last weekend, and I was standing in the same spot you were, and I saw this shadow go left and look at me, and then come back right and look at me, but it didn't come at me. So I'm hoping we caught it on the camera that was down there.
Oh, that would be super cool if you did.
Because it was, I'm looking straight down there and I'm going, where's Kelly? I think I've got her shadow.
You know, and it was the weirdest thing, because, I mean, I've been there a million times, and I don't usually have anything like that happen. I'll always have the spirits that are talking to me and are chatting and stuff, but I've never really had anything that's been aggressive, you know. And I don't even want to say that she was. I think if I'd have just turned around and walked away the first time she looked at me, we wouldn't have had a problem. It was the fact that I was just standing there staring her down that it came to a head. But you know, that ranks up there with the top of my list of stories, because I've never been frozen to the spot because I was scared until then. And it's crazy how it took a couple seconds for my brain to kick in. Move, idiot. You can move.
I didn't move. I go, Alec, come here. I couldn't move.
That's because she wasn't crawling death crawl up the hallway at you.
That's true. I wanted somebody else to experience it, and he didn't get there in time.
Yeah. Because where were we? Oh, I think we were up in the attic.
You were upstairs.
I think Adam and I were in the attic.
Yeah, you guys were setting up cameras yet.
Yeah.
And he just got that camera set up just before I saw the shadow.
Yeah.
And that is what was going on with us, too, as we were getting things set up. We hadn't even technically started investigating, and I was just feeling it out. And, yeah, I stood up at the end of the hallway while other things were being set up, and, yeah, it was right about that same time.
See, I was just getting ready to scare them because they were going to come down. Because I got to get their adrenaline going, so I got to scare them at least once. Uh-huh. So I was just standing there waiting for them, and that's when I saw the shadow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. And it's funny because I haven't seen it since. I haven't seen her since. But I look down that hallway now every time I go by, just kind of like, is she down there? You know, and I pause up at the end of the hallway like, is she down there? Because God forbid I drop my guard and I start walking down that hallway and she decides to come back at me. Ugh.
Oh, yeah. Hell no.
I'm
like,
too
bye,
fat to run too far. Right?
We had more action upstairs than we did the downstairs that night.
Well, I mean, we did have some in the woman's room with the hair.
Well, that's right at the beginning, but then it got
yeah,
quiet.
Then it got quiet, yeah. It was more upstairs this time. But
See, mine's usually kind of spread out at Malvern because, I mean, I always get Shadow Man on the first floor. Jeff usually stays on the second floor, though, so kind of spreads out.
Allison, we were in the lady where she pulls her hair out. We were in her room,
Mm-hmm.
and she told Allison to go to room 2. We didn't know where room 2 was till we got there, and it was the Shadow Man's room.
Oh.
That's locked.
Yep, yeah, yep.
So we were looking for room 2. Where's room 2? And we get there, and we go, they want us down here.
Well, we can't go in there. That door's locked.
No. So we
Yeah.
tried knocking and trying to get some noise from him, but nothing.
He's got to be in the right mood to interact. I mean, even with me, and I mean, he kind of likes me, but even with me, it's kind of hit or miss whether or not he does anything that could be picked up on any of the devices.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even times where he's moodier and he doesn't talk a lot. And then there's other times that he just talks nonstop. So it just kind of depends on what mood he's in.
We had Cora. She was wanting to know if you got any information on your shadow woman.
I really didn't. It was so the lady that I saw, that was the first time that I've ever seen her, and I haven't seen her since. And it was super quick. There was no words. There was nothing really exchanged other than like a feeling. And Cora, I don't know if you've heard the story before or not, but I mean, she was down at the end of the hallway and she just kind of kept peeking out around the corner at me, and she didn't say anything, but the feeling that I was getting from her was just more like what are you doing there? Mm-hmm. Well, you're still there. Why are you still there? You should go away now. You need to leave. You know, and it just kept getting like a little bit more aggressive every time until she dropped on all four and horror movie crawled up the hallway at me at lightning speed, and I didn't stick around to ask her any questions. As soon as my brain engaged that I could move, I left because I'm not stupid. I'm not real smart, but I ain't stupid. There are certain things that it's like, I'm going to go check that out. That was not one of them. And that's the funny thing is I pride myself a lot on if there's a noise, I'm going to go check it out. I'm not one to say, yeah, I don't think so. But that one was like, oh, hell no, I ain't going back down that hallway. I did. I mean, obviously I did even within 10 minutes of that. But
yeah.
And I've been down there a million times since. But I wasn't about to go down that hallway with her coming at me.
Oh, yeah. I don't blame you one bit. It's actually kind of funny because when we went there this last weekend, Alec put some rooms in a hat and we had to draw. And I actually got Inez's room where the doll came flying. I had to do a solo in there. But it wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. So
I got the solo room of Hank's hallway with the attic.
Oh, yeah.
And I got nothing.
Yeah. I go sit in Hank's room by myself quite a bit. We have a love-hate relationship. I love that he hates me.
But Adam got the shadow hallway.
Oh, yeah.
He was ready for that hour to get over with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, now normally I'm really comfortable down in his hallway, and there's kind of like a protective aspect for him when I'm down there that he's gonna. I just know he's gonna kind of watch over me, but and I've really only ever had one bad experience in that hallway, and to be honest, I don't even remember it. We were down there. I don't even remember when it was. Maybe Mama Pat does, because I want to say she was there too. I can't remember who all was with us, but Shadow Man was just kind of agitated, and just agitated is the best word that I can get. And we'd been in his hallway trying to talk to him, and everybody else was going to move on. And I said, I'm just going to stick around and talk to him, see if I can't calm him down a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so I sat on the floor right outside his door, and I was fine. I didn't feel anybody around me or anything. And all of a sudden it was kind of like I woke up. You know how you wake up, like you nodded off and you're like, oh, and you wake yourself up? Mm-hmm. That's kind of how it was. And so I started getting up to go join everybody else, and I didn't feel good. I was exhausted, just completely and totally exhausted, and I was freezing. And for anybody who knows me, I don't get cold. I'm so warm-blooded. For me to like shiver is not normal. And I couldn't function. I was so tired. Mm-hmm. And I still didn't think a ton of it. But I got home, and it was a day or two later, and I looked at my arm, and I realized that I had these bruises on my arm. And the more that I looked at it, somebody actually pointed it out to me. They're like, where did that handprint on your arm come from? And there was a handprint on my arm, but it looked like somebody had grabbed me from behind, because the fingers were on the front of my arm. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember any of it. I don't remember that happening. But it was pretty distinct, and multiple people saw it and said, that's a handprint, without me going, ooh, what do you think, this is? Right. So one of the next times I was down there, I asked Shadow Man what had happened. And he said that basically the guy that's in the room next to him, that they call it the dizzy room, mm-hmm. was messing with me and messing with my energy, that I kind of had let my guard down because I was talking to Shadow Man. Yeah. And he started messing with my energy, and he was sucking all my energy out of me. Oh. And Shadow Man grabbed me to wake me back up. That's what made me start myself awake. Yeah. And it was his handprint. And he felt horrible because he bruised me, but he didn't mean to. He was just trying to wake me up and get me so the guy had stopped sucking my energy out. But right. Do you guys ever share stories of things that you've experienced or that you've heard or things, and as you're hearing yourself talk, you go, God damn, you are crazy? Because as I'm saying this, I'm thinking, I sound crazy. No. But it's what happened.
Right, yeah, no.
Yeah. So Mama Pat said that was down at Roland's birthday party, so that would have been last October, I think.
Yeah. The night I was there. Allison couldn't go.
Yeah, I couldn't go.
Were you there when I was still not feeling good? You were still there, weren't you?
Yeah. I spent the night there.
I mean, you saw how drained I was. That's not normal for...
Mm-mm. Not at all.
Yeah. It was weird. I couldn't remember who all was there.
Let's see. You got an event coming up there in May, I think it is?
In Malvern Manor, yeah. On May 2nd, we'll be out there with Josh Hurd, of course, and... Miss Brandy Green of Ghost Hunters International and Chris Nielsen, the Paranomad. Mm-hmm. We'll be hosting an event out there doing an investigation. There's 2 different ticket options. There's just the general admission that'll get you in for, a hey introduction and the investigation. But there's a VIP ticket as well that gets you early access to the venue. You'll get to go over to dinner with us at the Classic Cafe. Your dinner is covered. It's included. So, for the extra money, it's just paying for your dinner, basically. Right. But then you get first entry into the manor and get to do some exploring around and private time, meet and greet with Brandy and Chris, myself and Josh. So, yeah, it's exciting. This is going to be a good mix of people because we've got myself, who's the psychic medium side of things, and then you've got Brandy, who is very science, just very, very science, And then you've got Josh, who is the Malvern expert, and the resident spirits all know him, so that's going to draw them in and get the activity going with him there. And then you've got Chris, who kind of walks the line on both things. He uses the equipment. He's scientific and on all of that, but he's also studying to be a shaman, and he's been having more and more experiences as he goes. So just a really nice mix of people that'll be out there at that event.
It's so fun. I wish I could afford it right now, but...
Yeah. Hopefully. You got a little time.
Yeah. We're working on it.
It would be cool.
Any questions?
I'm looking.
You guys can ask me anything. I know a lot of you guys know me, but here's your chance to say, hey, weird questions, and I'll maybe answer them.
I don't mean to go back, but your story about the shadow, my husband was sitting in that chair right next to that hall, right where you would have been standing. We all thought he was sleeping, but he wasn't. He was listening to your story. And if you notice, when you come back, he was on the couch. He was away from that door. He didn't want to be by that door no more.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Because I had to talk him into going. I at least got him in the
I remember
house.
that. I remember that. He was a good sport about it. He really was.
But yeah, we all thought he was sleeping, but he heard your story, and he brings up about Josh having to go for a smoke every time he heard a noise.
Oh my gosh. That man is going to get cancer with as much as he smokes. And yeah, every time he gets scared, he goes out and has another cigarette, and he's terrified all the time. I give him the hardest time because it's like, dude, you own Malvern Manor and you're scared. So, yeah, he's a hoot. I love Josh.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah, he's great.
We scared him. We scared him last weekend. Yep. I forgot a piece of equipment and it got him. I have this, what they call a scream pad. When you walk on it, it screams.
Oh my God, that would be the best.
Noises down by his office, so I set it by his office. So if someone would have walked on it when we weren't there, we were going to hear it scream. Well, we forgot it, and he found it.
Oh my God, I would have paid money to be a spider in the corner for that.
So he's out to kill me right now.
I would have pissed my pants if I saw that. You'd be like,
what the fuck? I could just imagine the screaming too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's the best.
Now, we were halfway home when he messaged us that we forgot something.
That's great.
Oh.
Hey, we at least know it works.
Yep, that's right.
And if you had to leave something behind, that is most definitely the thing to leave. Because,
Oh, gosh. Oh, let's see
here.
Cora wants to know, have you been able to tell what people's gifts or abilities are?
Yeah, to a certain extent. So I have a lot of people that come to me to learn about what their abilities are and learn how to train them up. So what I've noticed is that, okay, so it's kind of a mixed answer, I guess, because I try really hard to be ethical with my abilities. Just because I have the ability to know things about people doesn't mean that I should.
Right.
So it's not like I'm walking around just scanning everybody every time I meet someone just because I can. But if someone comes up to me or comes to me for a reading, for example, and they're talking to me, at that point they've given me permission to basically connect with their energy. And yeah, I'll be able to tell if they have abilities, even if they haven't figured that out themselves. And kind of offer them some guidance or point them in the right direction, or sometimes help explain some of the things that they're experiencing that they're not able to, that they didn't recognize that as that being part of their intuition, or they're not recognizing that as being an ability that they have. Because I think a lot of times that people who do have abilities don't necessarily know that what they're experiencing is an ability. It kind of goes back to what I was saying at the very beginning of this. I just assumed everybody knew things the way that I did. I didn't realize that was different, or that I was doing things that other people couldn't. I assumed it was normal. Probably the more sad question I get is when the people come up to me and they're like, I think I'm going crazy. This keeps happening to me, or I keep sensing this, or I keep feeling this, or I keep hearing this. And it's like, you guys aren't crazy. This is what's going on, you know?
Right.
But it can definitely make you feel a little crazy when you're experiencing things that are not normal. It's just, you know, and that's kind of where I was when my abilities started coming back when I was in middle school. It really was a matter of, am I losing my mind, or is there something to this?
Right.
And I really was lucky enough to have the mom that I did, who said, well, first off, she's Encyclopedia Pat, and she knew a lot about it. So I had that benefit, but she also was supportive and said, you know, here's what I know. I don't know everything. Let's go find it out together. Oh, yeah. And there's a lot of parents whose they don't, you know, if a kid goes up and says, I'm hearing a voice, they're like, stop making up stories.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Or I feel like there's somebody in my bedroom, and they'll say, stop making up stories, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's, I think I've gone through a lot of different roles in my path so far. Mm-hmm. And I know at one point that was a really big role for me, is to kind of be that person to help other people know you're not crazy. There's really something to this. And here's how you either control what you're experiencing and even stop it if you want to, or here's how you build it and here's how you use it. But it's always, one of the first things I teach them is, it's completely and totally up to you what you do with those abilities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because, one of the things that my daughter does, my oldest one, is that she'll hear sirens, and then a few days later, somebody close by, or a family member, or or someone in the neighborhood will have passed.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
See, and that's scary. You know, I don't remember how old your daughter is, but that's scary because
she's 15.
When you have that precognition stuff, especially when it's something like that, it's how do you go up to somebody and say, Mom, I know somebody's about to die, or something horrible is about to happen, you know? And sometimes you don't even connect the dots, that you're feeling that something's going to happen, you know? When I'm teaching my intuition classes, one of the stories that I give them is that so much about your intuition is about paying attention. If you don't pay attention, you miss how many times your intuition is talking to you. And I give them the example of how, you know, this was years after I'd been doing this, and we were all at a campground. My mom and dad were camping, and my nephew and my kids were all out there. My dad had one of those little scooters that you could sit on and you could ride it.
Oh, yeah.
It went all of 5-10 miles per hour. It's not like it was dangerous, you know, but they were riding it around the campground. And being the overprotective mom that I was, it still made me a little nervous because it was a motorized thing. But they were driving on campground roads where there weren't cars, there were people, you know, I mean, it was in the grand scheme of things, it was safe. So they were all riding it, and I kind of got used to it. And all of a sudden I got this, where's my nephew? Where's my nephew? We need to find him. We have to find him. We have to find him now. Where is he? You know, and I started asking, and my mom and my sister were like, calm down, Kelly. He's been gone 5 minutes. He's perfectly fine. He's here somewhere. We'll be able to see him. Because it was a big circle. He can't go very far. But I'm like panicking. We had to find him. We needed to find him right now. And of course, I was being told he's fine. It wasn't a minute or two later, here he comes up to us pushing the scooter. He had wiped out. And he had this great big gash in his calf.
Oh my God.
That was long, and it was deep. And so we, of course, go into reaction mode. Okay, let's wrap it up. Let's get him in the car. Let's get him up to the hospital. He's going to need stitches.
Right.
So we got in there, and I think he got something like 13 stitches. I don't remember how many. It was, it wasn't like one or two. It was a good sized wound. Mm-hmm. And we all get back out to the campground and we sit back down around the fire. And I can't remember if it was Mama Pat or my sister that said, "So Kelly, did you have a moment?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm not connecting the dots. And they're like, you knew something was wrong with my nephew. And I'm like, what? Oh, because I hadn't stopped to put two and two together that, I knew something was wrong. I knew we had to find him, but I didn't stop and think about it. I went into reaction mode just like everybody else did. So, it's funny that you have to learn how to deal with it and what everything is, and paying attention to stuff and all that good fun stuff.
But her daughter won't talk about it.
No.
She don't want to talk about it.
She gets kind of weird about it sometimes. I mean, she's opening up a little bit more in the last couple months, but she gets kind of weird about it sometimes. But
well, and give her time, because right now is a really weird age for her that, 15 is a tough age where you just want to blend in and not stick out and not be a weirdo. Yeah. And
she already thinks she's weird, so...
Yeah, she is your daughter. Oh, wait, sorry.
I know. That is true.
Like mother, like daughter.
Yes. They both have both sides of me. Like, my oldest one looks more like me. Kind of quiet at first, but she does like to talk when she gets to know you. And then my youngest one has my mouth. So that comes out, and she's kind of wild. It's bad.
Yeah, I say that all the time with my daughter. She's 16, and she's very strong-willed, and she's very good about saying this is what she thinks and this is what she feels most of the time. But goddamn, if she doesn't understand, you don't get to do that to me. It's like, yes, I would like you to be strong and feel like you can stand up for yourself, but remember who gave you all of that, because I will squash you like a bug. Yeah. Anyways. Anywho. Good times. My son actually...
we got an expo coming up here shortly, too.
We do. Yeah. Our first expo is on April 25th and 6th. I should know these dates. I want to say April 25th and 6th. It's April something. Mama Pat will figure it out for me, because she's, again, I need a keeper. But that's our Dubuque Psychic and Paranormal Expo, and this is our 5th year for that, I believe. And it's always a good show. It's the start of our expo season, and it's right along the river, so it's such a pretty location. We've got awesome vendors coming in. We'll, of course, have Mr. Dan class there, and we'll have psychics and mediums and shamans and Reiki and reflexology and stones and gems and crystals and sage bowls and singing bowls and all that fun stuff, along with haunted locations. So we'll have, besides Hinsdale, we'll have the Boyd House. I got 2 of them running right now, so I'm trying to remember and not mix up my applications on who's coming to which show. I'll stop there since I can't remember for sure.
I know the Boyd House, because I remember reading that this morning.
Yeah, I'm excited to have them come. They're going to be a new vendor for us. But she reached out to me a while back and said she wanted to come. And I'd heard about the Boyd House from Chris quite a few times, and I'd just never gotten there yet. So excited to get in there and hear a little bit more about them and get to meet them. So, but yeah, that's April 25th and 26th. Thank you, Mama Pat. So it's 10 to 6 on Saturday and 10 to 5 on Sunday at the Grand River Center in Dubuque. And $5 admission gets you in all day. There's free seminars throughout the day that you get to jump into and listen at no extra charge. And you can't find a better way to spend $5.
Nope. I'm out of wine. Who's going to bring me some wine?
Oh, poor baby.
I know. I'm going to see what I can suck out of this cup. There's got to be a drip in here somewhere.
If you squeeze it, it'll be better.
Oh, here's some. I couldn't get it out of my sippy cup lid, so I just had to take the lid off. That's all.
See, I'm so glad I am not the only one who drinks out of a sippy cup. But after a certain point, that lid comes in handy.
Yes,
That's all
does.
I'm saying.
It sure does. And I like my other one because it has like a little thing on it, so it opens and closes. This one doesn't.
Yeah.
So that way, that one's really...
The only thing about I just got one, and I have no idea where it's at right now because my room is torn apart. But the only thing I don't like about mine is it's got the little rubber thing on the bottom to make it not slide on whatever it's sitting on. And it's almost like a suction cup.
Oh, really?
So sometimes when I set it down on the table, I'll go to pick it up, and it doesn't come easily, and then it pops off. It's like I throw it.
You're going to chuck it anyways.
Thank God for the lid.
Mine don't have that, so I'm all good with that. So
yeah, Chris's doesn't have that, but mine does. So, anyways, that's okay. I think it just reminds me to not drink so much. That's kind of my thought, but I don't listen to it. I just speak into it, refill it.
What do you have going on tonight, anyways?
Bud Light Orange.
Oh, I like that.
It's amazing. We kind of picked it up as a, what the hell, let's give it a try. It's really good.
Yeah. It is actually pretty good. It's been a while since I've had it. But...
I got my
your Pepsi. I painted a whole bedroom, gosh darn it. I deserved a beer.
Yes,
that's
you do.
right.
Yes, you do.
I didn't do the whole thing by myself, but we're almost done. Almost.
Well,
as I'm sitting here looking around the room, I'm seeing the spots that need to be touched up. But
Kim says she has a few rooms that need to be done when you're done with yours.
Yeah, no, I think Mama Pat's got me lined up for a room of hers that I said I'd help out with, and we still got one of our bedrooms that we have to finish. So, not that everybody needs to know this, but I'll fill you in anyways because this is how I roll. I don't like to be bored.
Yeah.
And I needed a new bedroom set because my dresser broke. One of my drawers broke.
Uh-huh.
So buying a new dresser turned into buying an entirely new bedroom set, which turned into 3 of us swapping bedrooms.
Oh, geez.
And that required us to repaint all the walls, shampoos all the carpets, get new beds.
Shit.
It's just, it's like extreme home makeover because I needed a new dresser. And in the course of all of this last weekend, I needed a new grill too, so I bought a grill, and I'm like, let's put the grill together.
Oh my gosh. That's
my gosh. I don't know what I do, but keeps me out of trouble.
That's what happens when you have time off.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is, I'm like, I've got to do all of this now because, God forbid, if I was trying to do this come April, there's no way I'd be able to keep up with all of this. So
yeah, no kidding. Holy crap.
I have to cram everything into March because it's craziness after that. So
I'm the type that can't sit still either. I've got to be doing something.
I'm always doing something.
Yeah.
I can't wait till it gets warmer. I love doing woodworking, but you can't do it in the house.
It's supposed to be 69 degrees this weekend.
So maybe I'll get out for a run.
Yeah. Mama Pat saying that peanut butter whiskey. Yeah. We introduced her to peanut butter.
What the hell?
Okay. It sounds disgusting. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's Screwball. I think the brand is Screwball.
Uh-huh.
And we were someplace and they were giving out little samples of it. And I thought, ooh, that's going to be gross. But I'll give it a try, right? Oh, my God. It is so good. It is so good. So then we introduced Mama Pat to it, and now she's hooked.
We do have a question in chat here.
Okay.
What is your favorite protection gem?
I would say probably the one that I take with me most, like if I'm going to go on a vacation, is probably, or a vacation, on an investigation, is black tourmaline. I just have a piece that, I don't know, it's the one that I like the most, and it's the one that I feel most connected with. and it kind of depends on what type of protection. If I'm going out in a crowd and I'm just not feeling super protective that day, then maybe I'll pick up something different. But for investigations, I definitely say that it's black tourmaline. But yet sometimes I'll just take crystal quartz with me if I feel like some things need cleared out, or I'll take kyanite with me sometimes, and that's a personal stone for me. It's just one that I connected with a lot of years ago. So it's kind of it's almost like a worry stone. So I just carry it in my pocket because it keeps me calm. But yeah, for protection, I would say it's probably black tourmaline.
Gotcha. Oh, Cynthia says you're supposed to be getting a tattoo with her.
Yes. Eventually we'll be doing tattoos.
And then we do have a question from Darren.
Okay.
He wants to know, what has been your favorite investigation so far in the field?
Oh, man. That's a tough question because they're all good for different reasons. If we're going for an experience, for something that was experienced by everybody, I would have to say that would be Mason House Inn, hands down. We were down there, and I can't remember if it was a paranormal investigation I was hosting or if it was one of the intuitive retreats I was hosting, but we're sitting in the parlor of the inn, and everybody's in the parlor right there together, and we've got 3 flashlights on the table. And yes, I know not everybody agrees with the flashlights, but we were giving it a try. And they were actually responding, and it was weird, and it was consistent, and it was going for a really long time. But we wanted to try to kind of take it to the next level besides just the lights turning on and off, and we'd say, could you move the flashlights? And we could see the flashlights kind of just roll just a little bit, just the tiniest little bit, to see that it was rolling, just kind of wiggle. And it did that multiple times, and we had 3 different flashlights, one black, one red, one blue, and we'd say, move the blue one, move the red one, and it would do exactly what we were asking it to do. And so finally I thought, let's give this a try. Let's just see what they can really do. I said, okay, you guys have wiggled the flashlights, but if you can really move them, what if you made the flashlights roll off and that's about as far as I got when 2 of the 3 flashlights were on the table, flew off of that table and landed about 10 feet away. They didn't just roll off the table. They didn't just slowly roll. They flew off the table. The third flashlight that was on the table did not move at all. So we pick up the flashlights. After we clean our shorts, we pick up the flashlights. We put them all back on the table. And I am a debunker, so I put them back on the tables, and I'm like walking around the table, and then I'm stomping around the table, and then I'm jumping next to the table thinking, if it's going to get a reaction, my big butt jumping is going to make those flashlights move, Nothing. They didn't move again.
Wow.
And so we get them all set back up, and we all get settled back down into our spots, and we start asking questions, and it goes right back to answering the questions again consistently. Blink the red one 3 times, blink the blue one once, And the funny or not funny part of all of this is Mama Pat had actually stepped out of the room when the flashlights fell off the table, when they flew off of the table. And she was so frustrated, because she's like, oh my gosh, I missed it. I hate it, and she's like, I can't believe I missed it. So she came back in. And she was saying, you guys did this and I missed it, and that sucks that I missed it. So you did it once. Can you do it? And before she could get the question answered or completely asked, those same 2 flashlights flew off the table again, about the same distance again.
That's crazy.
3rd flashlight stays completely still. And it's just like, we're all just speechless, it's like dead silent in the room because we're like, oh my God, that really just did that. You can't get a flashlight to roll off the table and go that far. You can't. It doesn't go that far on its own. So that would be, I'd say, by far my best experience that that wasn't just a me spiritually thing, that was something that other people could experience too. Pennhurst. Pennhurst was probably one of my more awe moments for me, because it was a place that, you know, you hear about it growing up. I mean, I've been hearing about Pennhurst since I was a kid. And here all of a sudden I'm there and I'm walking around the buildings and the grounds and the tunnels, and that was just crazy awesome. Yeah, it's just every place I go has got its own specialness, own special reasons that they're special. So it's tough to say this is my favorite.
Yeah. Have you ever had a spirit follow you home?
Yes and no. So I don't know that I 100% believe in attachments or that. I mean, I have never had a spirit attach itself to me that I couldn't get rid of, or that I couldn't say, you don't belong here, go home, you know? But I have had spirits come and visit me before. And a lot of times it's spirits that I know. So like Mason House Inn, I've been going there for 10 years or better, and I know those spirits really well, and they know me. They're my family. So yeah, every once in a while they'll come and just visit and say hi, or tell me something that's going on down at the inn. And
right. So
do I ever have someone attached to me? Yeah, I would say that those spirits are attached to me because they're my friends. But they're not attached to me in a negative way.
That's good. We do have another question in chat from Darren. If you come across a full body apparition, who would you want it to be, and what would you say?
I don't know who I'd want it to be. Wow, that is a hard question. And I know he's asked that question before.
I know, I was just going to say, I'm like, haven't you had this question probably before?
Yeah. And I'm always intrigued to hear everybody else's answer, but I don't know what my answer is, because that's so hard to say I'd want to talk to just this person or just that person. I don't know, but now keep in mind for me though too, it's a little different, because whether I can see them or not, they're there, and I'm talking to them anyways. So for the question of what would I say, I don't know, because I say what I want to say anyways. But it's different to be looking them in the eye, I guess. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We're going to have to say I don't know, Darren. I don't know. I'll see if I can't come up with an answer by tomorrow night.
Yeah. She'll have it for you tomorrow night, Darren, in her chat, okay? So stay tuned.
Okay, his famous question.
Oh, jeez. Here we go.
What's the one object in the world you would never want to be haunted?
It has to be me. It has to be me. I'm a control freak, and I can't fathom the thought of something else being in control or having, like an impact over me all the time. So, yeah, I know that sounds like a stupid, self-centered answer, but me, because in the grand scheme of things, I'm a big chicken.
Cynthia says, though, for your, I'm assuming your full body apparition, that you'd want it to be her.
You're not dead, honey.
I think that's what she's saying, because she said me. She wants it to be me. So I'm assuming that's what she was talking about. My chat's a little bit delayed, so I'm just getting some of these.
We have to have a talk about how this works.
Okay, we have another question here. What would you be doing if you didn't deal with the paranormal?
Well, this is like a lot of people. This is not my full-time job. I have a muggle job as well, and so during the day, I am actually my technical title is a cost analyst, but basically what I do is cost accounting at one of the largest aero defense companies in the world. So that's what I do for a living. It's not what I do for my job. Let's see. If I could do anything that I wanted to do, if I couldn't paranormal investigate, then I probably would go back to just helping people and, providing readings for people. And it's funny because it's not paranormal investigating, but I would still want to make those connections for the spirits, because a lot of the reasons that I'm in the paranormal is to help tell the story of the spirits that are at the locations. And whether I'm quote, quote, investigating or not, that's really important to me, to help tell those stories and to help tell the history. Because I think a lot of times the spirits, if there is a spirit in the location, first off, they can get a really bad reputation when in reality that's not who they are.
Yep.
Excuse me.
That is true. That's very true.
Now, have you ever come across a haunted object?
No. And my answer is not a popular answer for this. I do not believe that the object itself is haunted. I believe that there can be spirits attached to an object, but it's still a spirit. It's still the object on its own isn't going to do anything. If the spirit decided it didn't like that object anymore, then there's the object is just an object and it's not going to do anything, So I know that's not always the most popular answer for haunted objects, but that's my opinion. Is, if I can't separate myself from my water bottle, and after I die, I just still can't make myself separate myself from my water bottle, I'm going to go wherever that water bottle is. It doesn't mean the water bottle itself is haunted. It means I'm haunting the water bottle.
Yep. Yes.
So that's my opinion. That's my truth.
I have the same thoughts as you. I think I explained that in maybe Shay's show when she had us on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think there's a lot of
haunted that came at us. I think somebody threw it at us.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. And so do I think that there's a lot of spirits that are attached to an object? Well, or that linger around an object? Yeah, just like they're going to linger around a location, or they're going to linger around a person. It's all the same thing. So they can be attached. They can want to be near an object just as much as they can want to be near a person or a place.
Lewis wants you to tell the story about Jeff at the manor.
Okay. So I've been to Malvern Manor a lot of times. And like I said, I kind of know the spirits that are there. And we were there, it was in December a couple of years ago, I want to say. So it's been a little over a year. It wasn't this last December, the one before that. And I hadn't been there very long, and I realized there's a new spirit that's there. And he's up on the second floor, and he's not talking to me, but he's sure looking at me, and he's just kind of checking me out. And I kind of was trying to ask him, who are you? Why are you here? And he wouldn't really answer me. And we were doing something else. We were having a Christmas party for Viddy. So I was the host, so I was trying to do what I was supposed to be doing, and so I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to him. But eventually, at one point throughout, he just kind of kept lingering. Anytime we got anywhere near upstairs, or anytime I got near the stairway, he'd be right there, kind of looking at me like, I don't know, just watching me. And it was funny because Charlotte Harden was there, and she kept watching me. She's like, "You see something?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's somebody here." So it got to be towards the end of the night, and it was just me and Josh and Charlotte, and we went upstairs, and we were just doing some quick investigating, and that was really the first interaction that I had with this new spirit that was there, and he kept kind of just not like closely following me around, but lingering, and if we went down a hallway, he came down the hallway. If we went in a room, he stood right outside the room. And finally, I kind of called him out on it, and I'm like, "Look, if you want to talk to me, but you're not just going to creep around behind me and be weird,
Right.
Talk to me." And so he did finally start talking to me, and I was asking him questions, and I asked him, I said, "What's your name?" And I was repeating the answers that I was getting to Josh and Charla, so they didn't just think I was crazy. And I told him, I turned and I said, he says his name is Jeff. And you guys know Josh. He can't control his reactions the best.
No, he can't.
And he kind of had that look, and then he got his face real quick, like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to react." And so he got his face all back together. He's like, "His name's Jeff, huh?" And I'm like, "Okay, that was an interesting reaction, but I'm just going to keep talking to him," because he was still talking. So I was asking him a few more questions, and I just randomly kind of throw out to him, to the spirit, "Where did you come from? Why are you here?" And he wouldn't answer me. All he ever tells me is, "I'm new here. I'm new here." Mm-hmm. And so finally I turned back to Josh, and I was repeating all the questions answers he was giving me. And finally I turned back to Josh, and I'm like, I keep asking him where he came from, why he's here, and all he keeps telling me is he's new here. And right. Josh couldn't do it any longer. He's like, "No way," Well, come to find out, Josh is really good about trying to make sure that he gets multiple reports of the same thing happening before he starts telling the public that there's things that are going on at the manor, because he wants that validation. He wants that. He doesn't want it to be a one-time thing and then have nothing to back that up. Right. So for 2 or 3 weeks prior to me being there, I didn't know this, but for 2 or 3 weeks prior to me being there, he had teams in there that were reporting to him that there was a new spirit there, and that the spirit was saying that his name was Jeff, and that primarily all Jeff would say is that "I'm new here."
Right.
I didn't know any of this. Right. This is things that people were getting through their spirit boxes, that they were getting through their communication devices. And here I am coming in as a psychic medium, and I say the exact same thing. So that was kind of where Josh decided, okay, this is absolutely valid. Jeff is now one of our residents, and they started talking about him. So it's kind of gone from there, where Jeff, he was a little bit aggressive, isn't the right word at first, but it was kind of this, "I'm here and you can't make me leave" attitude. I don't want to leave, and I'm going to puff my chest out and not leave, And we kind of had to talk to him and tell him, "Look, you don't have to be like this. You don't have to be locking the attic door on people. You don't have to be trying to intimidate the other spirits that are here. You're welcome here if you quit being a dick," Yeah. And so he did kind of calm down, and he actually picked one of the bedrooms. So he picked that bedroom that's, as you're heading towards the attic, it's the last bedroom on the right. He's funny. He's not like super jokey, haha, or anything, but he's conversational. He'll talk to you and everything, but he also is very set on this is what he wants. And he had been on me for the longest time that he wanted a chair in his room. He wants a chair in his room. He'd like a bed in his room, but he'll settle for a chair, Yeah. And so he doesn't forget. And that's the thing that I think I found interesting about him, is every time I've been down there, he's like, "I want a chair in my room. Tell Josh I don't have a chair in my room yet. When's he going to give me a chair?" Yeah. So the little turd, the last time I was down there, he said something to me again about a chair in his room. And I'm like, "Josh still hasn't gotten you a chair?" And somebody said, "Yeah, they did." And I turned and I look at him, and he's just laughing. Like, ha, ha, ha. I was going to go back and tell Josh you didn't have a chair still. Come on. Be nice to me. So now he wants a bed. Because, he got his chair. Now he needs something else to whine about.
That's right. Exactly. He's just going to keep asking for more.
Right? Eventually he's going to want like a TV or something. So. Right. He's an interesting sweet spirit. He's got this. He's not unfriendly by any means, but you got to kind of get him to warm up to you.
Mm-hmm. Going back to haunted objects, would you consider a house a haunted object?
I think it goes back to kind of what my answer was previously, that the house itself isn't. If the spirit goes away, the house is no longer haunted. Mm-hmm. So can a spirit be attached to a house? Absolutely. Is that one of the more common things that a spirit likes to linger around? Absolutely. But again, if the spirit goes away, the house is not haunted.
Yeah, I agree.
In my opinion.
Okay, let's see here. I'm just checking to make sure there's no other...
Darren wanted to know, what was your favorite trigger object? And before you answer, Cynthia says it's her.
Again, I think that's one of those things that it's going to vary depending on where we're at. So, like for our investigation that we're doing at Malvern on May 2nd with Brandy and Chris and I and Josh is going to be our trigger object, whether he likes it or not, because
you better have a lot of smokes for that night.
Right?
And some Depends.
Right.
Just put that screen pad out somewhere, Kelly. It's still there.
Gosh. I need that screen pad. I need to have that.
It'd be the funniest shit. Make sure you have the camera rolling, though, because I need to go through this.
Yes. But the spirits of the manor, they know Josh, and they're of anybody, they're connected to Josh, so they're going to interact with him more than anything else. And it sounds horrible to call him a trigger object, but in the grand scheme of it, his energy is what they're most attracted to. Mm-hmm. Plus, they get a kick out of scaring him.
Yeah,
so,
I bet they do.
So between the two of those, he's going to be our trigger object, But that can be the same for anybody who's been there more often, I mean, even me, with as much as I've been there, they know me more than they know other people, and so it can kind of trigger extra work. Or Louis, I finally caught up with chat. Louis, sorry, I call him Louis. Is saying that he can be a trigger object, and that's true because they know him too. So, it's and Cynthia can be when she goes certain places. She's got just this energy about her too, or Mama Pat when we go places. She's got this motherly energy about her that draws in the people who need that. So it really can vary depending on where you're at. I don't know that I would say again that I have any one particular trigger object. If anything, I would have to say, based on what the spirits tell me, I'm probably the trigger object because I look funny to them.
Yeah. That's true.
Yep.
Well, Allison's our trigger object. So.
Yeah. She's so happy about it.
Yeah, I know. I'm thrilled.
But the funny thing is, people can be trigger objects. There are people who just inspire more activity, and the spirits are drawn to them, whether they're intending to do that or not. And that's just kind of the way that it works. So it's always fun to be out on an investigation with one of those people when they A, don't know it, or B, don't want to be. So.
I know.
And any more questions?
I'm looking here. My chat is so lagging behind. It's ridiculous. I have to back out and come back in for it to update.
Oh my gosh.
It's always doing that. Or it kicks me out and then I have to log back in. It's just absolute bullshit.
Yeah,
Technology
I'm not doing a great job of keeping up, but I got to go back and look again.
I don't think so. I think.
Ooh, Trans-Allegheny. I want to go to Trans-Allegheny.
Yeah, me too.
That's on my bucket list.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure we got everything.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, so do you have any other questions, Kim, before we wrap things up?
No, not right offhand.
All right.
Ooh,
if you want to give kind of a spiel of where people can find you that are listening, that may not know who you are and want to follow you and what you do.
Yeah. Again, in case you didn't know who you were listening to, I'm Kelly McCarville, Moonspinner. So I'm on Facebook just under Kelly McCarville Moonspinner. I'm on Twitter and Instagram under Moonspinner76. So where to find me? What do I do? On Wednesday nights, I have my own podcast that I host here on Paranormal Buzz Network called The Realm Walker. And the Realm Walker story is an interesting one too, Mama Pat, definitely. That's a title that was given to me when I was out walking along a trail heading towards some Indian burial grounds. And I had never heard that term before, and it was one of the most unique experiences because I could hear the spirits around me talking, but they weren't talking to me this time. They were talking about me, which is almost more unnerving than when they're talking to you. Mm-hmm. And I could hear them having a conversation about me, and they called me a realm walker. And so that's where that title actually came from. Cool. But Wednesday nights is my own podcast here on Paranormal Buzz at 8 p.m., and that can be anything either paranormal related or metaphysically related. Friday night, I am, again, Paranormal Buzz Radio, co-hosting with Shay on Shay's Paranormal Chat. My show's every other Wednesday. Shay's show is every Friday. Mm-hmm. And then myself and Mama Pat host the expos, the Psychic and Paranormal expos. And we have 4 of those a year. So we have the Dubuque Expo in April. We have the Cedar Rapids Expo in July. We have the Ames Expo in October and the Quad Cities Expo in November. And then outside of that, you will find me off investigating and attending Paracons and hobnobbing with really cool people. But yeah, my first place that we head to is the first weekend of April. We'll be at HaunaCon, I think. Mm-hmm. See, I already am having to dig out my calendar because I don't know. We'll be at HaunaCon the first weekend in April. We have Ashmore on the 18th of April. The Dubuque Expo is the 25th and the 26th. And then our Malvern event on May 2nd. And it just goes crazy from there. So, follow me on Facebook, guys, if you haven't already. I always try to keep posted on there where I'm going to be in investigations. I try to go live as much as possible when I'm at a place because I think it's just fun to be able to share that with everybody and say, hey, here's what we're experiencing, and show you how fun and or boring it can be to ghost hunt.
Right, yeah, that is true. That is true. We do have another question, though, from Darren.
Before we go.
Okay. So when you go to an investigation with normal energy and get normal responses, then when you go back with an energy drink or bar, do you think the energy of the place will be heightened because your energy is heightened? That's a different one. I haven't heard that one yet.
Yeah, and I get where he's coming from, and I think to a certain extent there's some truth to that for a lot of people. I know that when people with abilities go out on investigations or they're sitting down and doing like readings for people, you'll hear a lot of people say that they're tired, they're drained, they feel like their energy has all kind of flowed out of them. Mm-hmm. I don't suffer with that as much. I've always just had, and part of it is, again, because I'm a control freak and I'm overprotective, I've always had this natural inclination to keep my energy protected and make sure that I'm not just giving energy. Right. If I'm giving out energy, I'm making sure that I'm cleaning energy too and taking it back. So it's always like it's a cycle instead of me just giving energy. And that's the case even for an investigation. So for the most part, I can maintain a pretty consistent level of energy, whether I'm doing readings or an investigation or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. But when something goes wrong, that's when it scares me. Like that night that we were at Malvern and I was so drained. That is not normal for me. And it scared me because it wasn't just weird that I was tired. It was weird that I didn't even want to walk around anymore. I was done.
You're right.
Yeah. So most of the time I don't have any effect, but yeah.
I'm still drained from Malvern from last weekend. I'm freaking exhausted. And we slept a little bit longer. Well, I mean, I was up at 6:45, but then I went back to sleep till about 8. We went to bed at 5.
Usually we're up by 6:30 loading the car and on the road by 7, so...
Yeah. I'm still freaking drained. It's ridiculous. I don't know. Alright, let's see here. Making sure there's no other questions here.
I'll get tired from lack of sleep, but not from energy.
Drained.
Yeah. I can have, okay, so I don't want to say that it never happens, because like when we went to Villisca, that was a little taxing. That definitely was taxing. The energy that's at Villisca it's just overwhelming. It is the most intense energy that I have ever experienced in my life. And it was something that no matter how much I tried to protect myself, there were times that I had to go outside and I had to reset. You know, I had to just get out and go sit in the grass, or had to get away from there. We made so many trips to the gas station and to go and get food and stuff just to get out of the house for a little bit because it was overwhelming. So, I don't want to say that it never happens. And Villisca, both times that I've been there to actually investigate, has been a pretty intense experience for me, because it's not just that I'm interacting with any spirits that may be there. In reality, I don't know that I believe that there's all that many intelligent spirits that are left there. Mm-hmm. But I am walked through the murders step by step, every detail, every time I'm there. And I don't care how strong you think you are, that messes with a person to see that, you know? Yeah. Yeah. So I don't want to say that I'm never affected, because even now just talking about it, it's just like, I
know, I got chills.
Villisca's a place, definitely.
Yes, it is, for sure.
I'd love to try an experiment with you and Allison. Go on an investigation and see if she's picking up what you're picking up, if she's developing her skills more. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, it would be fun just to see, because she was picking up quite a bit last week when we were there.
Yeah.
Well, we should try that out, Allison. Or you should come to a retreat sometime. That'd be good.
I know. I need to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Let me check chat here one more time.
That's the practice, though, that people need to do if they want to develop those skills. So definitely that's something that we can try out.
It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I didn't see any more.
I don't either.
Questions, so.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give shout-outs to everybody who was in chat tonight. We had Mama Pat, we had Shay, we had Angie, we had Darren, we had Matt, we had Christopher, we had Lewis, we had myself, we had Rusty, we had Rebecca, we had Cynthia, we had Cora, we had Mama Deb. I saw Fred in here for a split earlier, I'm pretty sure. Am I missing anybody?
Did you say Mama Pat?
I did say Mama Pat. Okay. She was one of the first ones I said.
I think you might have.
I don't know. There's a lot of messages in chat. So I'm sorry if I forget anybody who was in chat and I didn't see you. But I'd like to thank all of you that were in chat tonight. Thank you for everybody who was listening but not in chat. We thank each and every one of you for listening to us every week. Thank you to our guest, Kelly McCarville, tonight. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Always. It was fun. Thank you.
Nico just popped in and says, hi!
Hi!
We're just ending, so you're going to have to listen to the replay. That's okay. I gave you a shout out. All right, so thank you for being on. Let's see, who do we have?
Absolutely.
We have Spectra Waves Paranormal on next week. So tune in for that. So that'll be interesting. And I guess we'll just peace out. He says, I will. All right. Peace out, everybody.
Thank you for listening to REP Paranormal and Friends. Be sure to check out Kim and Allison on Facebook at REP Paranormal Busters.